everybody. Well, how did that come out? Really good. Of course, I haven't lost my voice yet, but don't say that. What happened yesterday at Miami Hurricanes Media Day after interview number 14. My friend Cameron Gordy had to witness something he didn't used to see, me losing my voice. Anyway, welcome back to the big show. Glad to have Mel Farr back in the house. Welcome back, Melvin.
Hey, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Thanks for waiting.
Oh, you're very. Oh, no problem. Hey, some things are worth waiting for. You're definitely one of them. All right. With that said, we got Jeremy Ballrick. Yeah, well, that's a nice part of me, anyways. But he deserves it because he's been with me forever when things are tough, and now we're getting better. And obviously, he's got to stay that way. All right. With that said, we got Jeremy Ballrick. We got MDE in the house. We got Feather Freebird 8083. I definitely need an eye exam for botching that one up. Good stuff. Okay, Nick Burton is in the house. Great stuff. Look at all these people showing up. Let's get him rolling here. Elected. Let's promote this stuff here. Okay, hello. We got Ed.
Hello, MDE and Nick.
I forgotten anybody.
It's good to be here, Scott. Good to see you, Mel. It's been a minute. I almost forgot you were on this show.
Oh, damn. Oh, all right.
Back Bay.
Heck, babe, that's Yoli. That's my friend Yoli Cruz.
Hello, Yoli. We're going to cruise through a great show, pun intended. Don't worry, not much caffeine.
I will say she might be the smartest one of her siblings. She has 8 brothers. They all live in Chicago, and she's the only one that has a championship team as the one she's a fan of.
Okay.
Which team would that be?
All 8 of her brothers are Chicago fans. She's a Packer fan.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
All right. That's my girl.
I'm sure it is.
No, that's
all right.
my girl.
Okay. All right, anyways, lots to get to today. We have a really busy agenda, and I guarantee when it's all said and done, we're going to get to every last bit of it. Okay, the biggest bag fumbles in college football history include at $86.7 million goes to Mel Tucker. Not far, thank God. Mel Tucker, $86.7 million. $33.0 million goes to Art Briles. Great offensive mind. Just unfortunately, he did some things you're not supposed to do. $33.0 million. $25.9 million goes to Bobby Petrino. That's when he was at Arkansas, and things were not very good when it comes to riding a motorcycle. And everybody that doesn't know about the story, read up on Bobby Petrino. I'm sure you'll find him on Wikipedia about that. $117.6 million goes to Steve Sarkisian, a.k.a. Marvin Powell III's alma mater, USC. Hope you're listening, Marvin, but Sark wasn't doing you any favors there. Hugh Freeze forgot how to coach when he went to, was it Auburn? Yeah, okay, well, $16.4 million to play golf. $15.4 million went to Jeremy Pruitt. And then we have Sharon Moore, $14.4 million. All right, Jeremy, what are your thoughts about this interesting bag of characters? Jeremy?
Well, the fact that Sharon Moore got anything, he should count his blessings.
Yeah, really.
As far as I'm concerned. The rest of them, these guaranteed contracts for these college coaches, when they change colleges as quick as these players do, it's kind of idiotic.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Okay. Go ahead.
It's almost not, to me, to some extent, it's not, I think the university presidents and ADs have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the interest of the university, and putting some kind, agreeing to that kind of buyout, could not, good for them. First of all, let me say, they've got good people negotiating their contracts. I'm not always sure, sometimes they're retreads going into the university, and they're not always good. It's kind of like we've said, it's like a draft pick. When you bring a coach in, you don't know if he's going to thrive or take a nosedive. That's a little bit of a rhyme there. They try to get that in. And, so, I mean, good for them. I think the universities need to do a better job. And, and if they don't like the deals, tell them to walk.
I agree. Mel?
So did Mel Tucker get that buyout? I thought he was fired for cause.
No, not that I know of. I haven't heard.
Oh yeah, so he didn't get all that money, right?
No, he didn't get any money. He don't deserve it after what he did. But go ahead. This is your segment, not mine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether or not he deserved it or not. Then based on the allegations, absolutely not. But I don't know. I mean, I've said it before. I mean, I was just talking to somebody yesterday. Coaching has changed from when I was playing, back in the mid '80s. Coaches weren't making a whole lot of money. They're making good money, but they weren't making the kind of type of money that they're making today. And when you have the coaches making the type of money that they're making today, it makes all the sense in the world for the players to be able to make some money as well, because obviously the universities have the money, and they waste a lot of money as well, hiring coaches, firing coaches, being real quick with the trigger and getting rid of coaches. Back when I remember, when I was playing, I mean, we were hoping Coach Donnie he would get fired or go somewhere else. It wasn't going to happen. He was in the running for the Atlanta Falcons job one year, and we're like, praying, please take the job, so we could see, experience something different. But there is no there's no longevity in this game anymore. I mean, you have to produce, and Curt Cignetti hasn't made it easy for a lot of these guys going to new programs. Right. Historically, a program that historically did nothing in football, and he turned that thing around instantly. So I think it's only going to get worse as time goes on, because everybody's going to point to him and what he was able to do at a program that never won anything in football. Right.
Great segues, because we got lots of stuff about Curt Cignetti today and Bob Knight, as the title indicates. Great stuff, Mel. Haven't lost anything since you're coming back. Great stuff. Okay, Candy, go ahead.
So what I would say is, sometimes when people get into power, like some of these coaches, they get into trouble. And sometimes it's of their own doing, and sometimes it's of somebody else that's looking for a quick buck, trying to maybe falsify things. And I'm not saying any of these necessarily that's the case, but they are under an added amount of pressure, and people are looking to do quick buck. How can I get money quickly? Sometimes this is like that, but hopefully these, I mean, we don't know if all these allegations are true or not. Hopefully they're not, but sometimes when you get into power, you feel like you have a little bit more power. And unfortunately, sometimes these things, and in today's day and age, everything comes out and it's all public, and it's quickly public.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't get the whole story, or we don't get both sides of it either at first.
Well, the amazing part about this list is this, okay? Number one, you've got a lot of different names that are all over the planet. Like, for example, Bobby Petrino and Art Briles, to me, are just interesting birds in their own right. I mean, Art Briles obviously was involved in what we all call, even though he didn't do it, there was some criminal activity. Bobby Petrino was just outright took advantage of something that ultimately he was never really the same after that. And now, believe it or not, Bobby Petrino is on Bill Belichick's staff as well. So you just don't know where some of these things are going to go and where they wind up and what it does to your reputation. It's not like everybody killed each other. One minute we have a motorcycle problem. And if Bobby Petrino's record is anything, the way he left the Atlanta Falcons was absurd. The way he didn't even make an entire season, left a note and left. So, I mean, that's just another interesting angle. But I think sometimes when you get to the outcome in a very different way, that's exactly what happens. So the stories are different, but nevertheless, the buyouts speak for themselves based on the situation. But Mel Tucker was bad. There's a guy that's an African-American hire that had an opportunity to do some good things. And not only did he make it bad for himself, but he gave African-American candidates a bad name. And that's what hurts Mel Tucker. Speaking of which, we're going to transition to a subject, unless anybody wants to add to this. We have a lot to get to tonight here on Inside the Pigskin. And yes, let's go to Andy Prather. Baylor had two of the biggest scandals in the football program under Briles, and their hoops program with Scumbag Hoops. Go. There you go. Andy Prather just said it there. So that's a great segue, Mel. This is a standalone topic for you. I wanted to hold it until you got back, and I'm glad I did. Sacramento State hired Alonzo Carter as its next head coach. Obviously, and he spent over 25 years of coaching experience with Cincinnati, Arizona, San Jose State, JUCO, and the high school level before becoming a football coach. And he was the lead dancer of MC Hammer. Go figure that. All right, go ahead, Mel. This is just your topic only.
Well, I mean, he didn't get an easy gig. Sacramento State is a tough job. I'm sure he's appreciative of having the opportunity to be the head coach and run his own program, but that's a difficult job. I'm happy for him.
Right.
He's paid his dues. He's been doing it for a long time. He's been coaching since 1993, and this is typically how how it works for people of color. We don't get an opportunity to come right out of football and then go right into coaching and get an assistant coaching job or something like that, or a coordinator job. We normally have to work our way up from the bottom, maybe start up cutting film, stuff like that, and gradually make our way to a lower tier head coaching job, prove ourselves down there at the lower tier, and then maybe we'll get a mid-level and then move on from there. But I'm happy for him, and he's getting an opportunity to continue to do something that he loves. I'm certain coaching is really not a job when you're around football, something that you really care about. When you really love somebody, it's really not work. So he's enjoying himself, getting an opportunity to live out his dream. Now he has an opportunity to run his own program. I couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah, and the toughest thing about it is you're right, Mel. African Americans don't get enough opportunities. So I'm glad, if nothing else, at least he was able to go ahead and get an opportunity, and we'll hopefully see if he can go out there and take it from there. That's for sure. So I wish Coach Carter well. All right, well, let's talk about Lions retired numbers. I'm going to read off the list of these Lions retired numbers and go from there. And we'll go around the horn with this rapid fire. Now, keep in mind, when I mentioned Chuck Hughes' number, it hasn't, Eric Ebron wore the number, but it hasn't been officially retired. It just hasn't been worn. So I want to make sure I put that preference out there, unless Jeremy wants to correct me on this. But I'm going to go over the list of Lions numbers anyways, and we're going to go from here. We got Dutch Clark at number 7, Barry Sanders 20, Lem Barney 20, Billy Sims. They obviously wanted to reward great running backs, except Lem Barney wasn't a great running back, but he's in the Hall of Fame. So is Barry Sanders. Billy Sims would have been in the Hall of Fame if he didn't get busted up in Minnesota at the Metrodome, which is a place I know all too well, but I won't elaborate on the fact that I had my knee trained on the Metrodome turf. Okay, but anyway, Billy Sims could have been. Yeah, Bobby Lane at 22, Doak Walker at 37, Joe Schmidt 56. By the way, interesting story about Joe Schmidt. When I was over at the ACC kickoff, I mentioned his name to Bill Belichick, and he knew exactly what my age was, because nobody in that room obviously knew who Joe Schmidt was. And last but not least, Charlie Sanders. Jeremy, some thoughts about the list?
What a great list of guys that the Lions have had over the years. I think eventually you're going to see 81 retired too for Megatron. Other than that, I don't think we'll do it for Matt Stafford. And the next one that's a quarterback that'll get it will probably be one that wins a Super Bowl. Period. I can't say any names because we haven't won one yet.
Oh, smart move. Anything else about the rest of the list?
I said they're all great guys.
Okay, no, that's good enough for me. I just wanted to make sure you were done, so we move on to Eddie.
Yep.
Eddie.
To be full disclosure, with the exception of Barry Sanders and Billy Sims, who we grew up watching, Barry Sanders those are really the two Lions out of all those that I'm familiar with. So, two great running backs. I'm assuming that the rest were great players and so on. I would tend to agree with Jeremy. I could see Megatron possibly getting his number retired at some point, and probably a quarterback. Maybe would be the next one if they get to the Super Bowl. And with the way they're headed, they're probably going to be there sooner rather than later.
Hey, Mel.
Yeah, I don't think Charlie's number is retired. I think it's just out of circulation because Hawkinson wore that number, and then somebody else was wearing that number last year. I don't think his number has been retired. You might want to just double check that. But and for the longest time, the Lions really didn't retire numbers. They just took them out of circulation. People didn't wear them.
Right, exactly.
People weren't wearing them like Joe Schmidt's number. Pat Swilling came when they got Pat Swilling. Pat Swilling wore the number. They just kind of took them out of circulation, but then Then they did decide to retire some numbers, in particular, number 20, because it just made all the sense in the world. It just wasn't going to get any better than the three guys that wore that number, with Lem and Billy and Barry. So, I don't know much about Dutch. I mean, you could probably tell me a little bit more about Dutch, Scott. During your childhood, you probably watched him play. I know you've probably seen Joe Schmidt and Doak Walker play as well. But you could probably tell us a little bit more. I mean, I've heard stories about Doak Walker. Obviously, Joe Schmidt was my dad's coach, and I understand he was a great football player as well. And then Chuck Hughes, I remember when that happened and he passed away. And it makes all the sense in the world that number has been retired.
Yeah, no. Candy, some thoughts.
I mean, like Eddie, I wasn't alive for a lot of these, or remember, or was a big football fan. Obviously, Billy Sims, Barry Sanders. Obviously, I remember we always hated going up against him and trying to stop him, which wasn't possible. But some of these go back to the 50s. Bobby
You
Lane
remember Dutch Clark, Candy?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Sure, of course. He goes back to the 30s. So he played in 31 to 32 and 34 to 38. So I'm guessing he was in the war. That's why he probably didn't play in the 33. But then, the 50s were Bobby Lane, Doak, and Joe Schmidt. 60s would have been Lem Barney into the 70s. Chuck Hughes. Now, when I researched this, it said he played 70, 71. His number was retired, but then it was withdrawn after his tragic on-field passing during a game. So,
By the way,
yeah.
Like George Eichhorn, I can say, I'm not proud of it, but it's in my book, Lessons from the Microphone. I was at that game, and it was the most surreal feeling I've ever dealt with in my life, watching a man die at the age of 8. When I was there, I was with my dad, and I had nightmares over that particular infamous fall afternoon on October 24th, 1971. That's just unbelievable. To see a player die like that, the way he did, because of cardiac arrest. It's not like we have with, Damar Hamlin, right? Where he had all this advanced medicine. Chuck Hughes didn't even have a prayer. He just didn't, and it's just too bad. But I'm glad that once in a while, when the situation presents itself, then I'm able to bring up Chuck Hughes, because I'm able to honor his memory anyways, because that's something nobody wants to have to experience. Mark my word, you just don't want to do it at all. Anybody else have any thoughts to close out the topic? Okay, we'll make this a quick one. Some of these are going to go rapid fire, by the way. Teams to start 2-0 in 5 straight seasons since the NFL merger. I'll just say the Tampa Bucks are the latest to do it. Jeremy, that just shows you how to start. You can't get off to an 0-2 start, can you, Jeremy?
No, you can't. 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, all of those are like, every one increases the odds of you not making the playoffs. It just happens. And good thing Baker came out and said, fine, I'll go ahead and play under this contract. We'll revisit it later for the Bucks, because I think it would be worse than that.
Yeah, and he's not happy about it too. I just saw he feels very mistreated by the Bucks. So he probably didn't do a good thing by not at least treating him with a little bit more respect. Yes, you know what? That's what makes football so great, is the fact that every game counts, every 17. If you go 0-2, if you go 1-2, 1-3, you don't come out, out of the first 5, 3-2, you're going to have a struggle depending on how the rest of the crew goes. Now in the NFC East, Scott, it's a free for all most days, with the exception of the Eagles, and even the Eagles I think are starting to fade a little bit. But I think you're right, Scott. 0-2, you can't go 0-2. It's a hard hill to climb now.
It really is. Mel?
Yeah, football games are difficult to win. I've talked about it before. It's very difficult to win games in the NFL. Those other guys are getting paid too. They're getting coached up. They go to practice. They're hitting the weights. They're getting they're conditioning, and they have pride. because they're getting paid as well. They're professionals. Very, very difficult. I mean, if you go 0-2, then you have to get kind of lucky somewhere along the line. You have to somehow or another try to get on the stretch, put those two games behind you, figure out a way just to win the very next football game. Just worry about one game at a time. And then, pretty soon, once you lift your head up, you've stacked together a couple wins, and next thing you know, you're back in the thick of it.
Right.
And it depends on what conference you're in, depends on what division you're in, on how that can affect you. If you're in a very tough division, it makes it difficult for you to get back into the playoff picture. Makes it difficult for you to secure a wild card berth because the conference is strong or your division is strong. So this makes it that much more difficult. Nobody wants to start off 0-2, but sure as you and all of us are sitting here, there's going to be a team that's going to go, start out 0-2, and they're going to have to figure out a way to dig themselves out of that hole.
Andy?
0-2 doesn't give you momentum in the right direction, and that makes it hard and tough in a game that, like Mel said, it's not easy to play. I mean, hard hitting, injuries happen. So 0-2 is not a good spot. Someone will overcome it, but it is not easy to do.
Well, keep in mind you only have 17 games, so getting off to 0-2, it means the deck is definitely stacked against you, that's for sure. All right, let's continue on. You talk about one of the most interesting moves by a college football team to make money. I'll give you one. Delaware made $12 million from College Football 26 just from people playing as them. An audio game can use the top paid players to keep them competitive. You ever heard of something like this, Jeremy?
No, I haven't. It's kind of crazy. If I had more details, I'd say more about it.
No problem. Go ahead.
Read that tagline again there,
yeah,
Scott.
I'd be more than happy. You talk about an interesting way. No problem. You talk about an interesting way of keeping your program alive. The Delaware Blue Hens made $12 million from College Football 26. It's a video game, just from people playing as them, and I said as them.
Okay.
So it's a video game that can use to pay players to keep the team competitive. You got to get resourceful when you're in a situation like this. And the Delaware Blue Hens, to their credit,
that's
did
pretty
exactly
cool.
that. Yeah.
I mean, just the sound of it, being in the video game and then getting paid for them to use the Delaware team. That's why not? Like you said, you got to figure out multiple revenue streams in this modern age of college athletics, because you need to make sure your NIL coffers are filled so you have enough money to be competitive in whatever league you're in. So good for Delaware. They thought outside of the box. Good for them.
Exactly, and that's a point of this whole segment, is they did think outside the box. Okay, Mel?
Yeah, I'm not, I'm kind of like Jeremy. I don't know enough about it to really comment on it. I don't know what they did is different than, no other college football teams doing this. I mean, I thought that they had College 26, and you're playing with teams and players, and players are able to, get money off of their name, image, and likeness. I mean, that was why one of the reasons why it kind of went away for a while was because of the old NIL stuff, and players wanted to get paid because their likeness was being used in these games. So I don't know what Delaware is doing that's different than anybody else. So it's difficult for me to comment on that one.
That's okay. It doesn't matter. Can't comment on everything. I'm just trying to get some different things out there so people realize that even the smaller schools got to find a way to stay competitive, and that's exactly what we're out there trying to do. So yeah, just so you know, Jeremy, I know you you said just all right. You know what, Candy, go ahead, and I want Jeremy to go ahead and preview a story. It's good to know, and then we'll continue on. Go ahead, Candy.
You want me to what?
Well, just talk about Delaware for a moment, Candy.
University of Delaware football program made $12 million from EA College Sports Football 26. They're saying is not true, is what I am saying. A viral social media post claimed Delaware ranked 6th in team usage in the video game and cashed in a $12 million payout, but they're saying that is not true. The athletic department officially clarified that the payout is a normal 6-figure amount. No school in the country is believed to have reached a seven-figure payout threshold for the game.
Okay, well, thanks for clearing. That's okay. Thanks for clarifying that. But you know what? I'll just say one thing, like Ed said, and that's this. Okay, you have to think outside the box. And like I said, a lot of our sources are exactly what they are. But again, it's my job to get the information out there. We'll do that. Jeremy, you said you sent a story to us. Why don't you go ahead really quickly and give everybody an idea of what you have there? Thanks, Candy.
Yep.
I just did a quick, 1,500 review of all the trades we made in the last week for the Tigers. There's a lot more that didn't get reported than everybody did. A lot of minor league players and some guys we DFA'd were moved around. Like Jake Rogers got us 2 prospects from the Orioles. Jahmai Jones got us a pitcher that actually is pretty decent out of the Boston prospect list. And what's funny is one of the Orioles catchers just came off of the injured list, and they traded Jake Rogers to the Boston Red Sox for prospects too. So think about this. Jake Rogers, a guy we sent to Toledo that was 24 hours away from being able to be put on waivers, and anybody could have had him. Baltimore needed a catcher so bad for 2 days that they traded for him, gave 2 prospects, and then as soon as their guy got healthy, traded him for 2 prospects. So they didn't lose a thing.
Okay, great stuff. Okay, anyway, we'll just continue to move on here. Lots to get to. Everybody knows that the Hall of Fame class is about ready to take place. Jen Matthews and obviously Dawn's going to be there. But I'm going to go over the list of them, and you guys can talk about the list of finalists, and then we could proceed from there with updates. It was a pretty interesting finalist group when you had Willie Anderson of the Bengals, Drew Brees, obviously the Saints, Jari Evans. If you make it to the finalists, you're doing pretty good. Larry Fitzgerald of the Cardinals. You have Frank Gore, who I'd be partial toward because he's the former Miami Hurricane, and he had busted, shredded legs up there to be a finalist. It's incredible for all the medical issues he's had to deal with. Then you had Torrey Holt of the Rams. You have Luke Keighley, I believe, is going in. Eli Manning snubbed, I believe. You have Terrell Suggs, Adam Vinatieri. I think his owner is going to be the presenter there. And then you have Reggie Wayne of the Colts, Kevin Williams of the Vikings, Jason Witten of the Cowboys, Darren Woodson, and then Marshall Yanda. Jeremy, what are your thoughts? If nothing else about the finalist list?
Wow. I mean, it was a great list. I love who made it in. Most of them, the one that I thought was the bigger snub than Eli Manning was none other than head coach of the Patriots forever in Bill Belichick. But other than that, I think all of them deserve to get in. I think they could have waited on one of them, but I'll leave it at that. That's just me.
Eddie?
I think it's a great list. I guess you're getting old when you can remember players playing and they're already qualifying for the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So Jason Witten, Eli Manning, probably all these guys. I think it's great. Adam Vinatieri, he was always spot on. So it's a great list. I also just looking here, they have the seniors getting in for finalists: Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, and L.C. Greenwood. I remember L.C. Greenwood. He was back with the Steel Curtain back in the day. So that's 3 good seniors too, and Kenny Anderson. So good list. Congratulations to them all.
Yeah, Mel.
Yeah, if you make it to the finalist list, you're something special. So I mean, that's a lot to be proud of in itself. But some of these guys, obviously, Eli Manning, he's going to get in eventually. He didn't get in this particular time. It's about time that Roger Craig got into the Hall of Fame. I don't know what took so long for Roger Craig to get in there, but he certainly should have been in there a long time ago. But it gets tough. Once it gets narrowed down, and now it's getting kind of watered down a little bit with some of these guys. I mean. Was Luke Kuechly really, a Hall of Famer, or was he really, just very, very good? I don't know. I'm not a Hall of Fame voter. Obviously, they felt that he was a Hall of Famer, so he's going into the Hall of Fame. But I mean, some guys you can question, and then there's some guys you just know without a doubt. You can't talk about the NFL or the game of football without mentioning this particular person, and that's what really defines a Hall of Famer.
Andy?
I think part of it is longevity too, and how much did you influence not only the game but maybe your franchise, and that's probably where the Luke Kuechly gets in. But you're right, Eli, he's gonna be get in eventually. Um, Breeze played a long time, has a lot of records, obviously. Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, Adam Vinatieri. I mean, you never wanted to see him if you were on the opposing side go up and kick because he was always spot on. But it's a great list, and Ed, you're correct. I'm starting to really feel old now, knowing that
Right.
I've seen all of them.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Just wanted to put it out there.
You're starting to feel old. What do you think that makes me? Never mind. Don't ask. Okay. Well,
I thought you'd have been
anyways,
old from the first question.
well, I was, but I was trying
Oh,
to be
come on,
nice.
Scott. You're not old. You're not old. Just back when you started
No, I
playing
mean,
pool,
I
they
thought Candy,
actually used a
watching
rock
Dutch
instead of
Clark
just
play, I
calling
thought
it
she
a
would have
rock.
been feeling old.
Right. I thought you were referring to Chuck. I thought you were referring to Chuck Hughes, let alone Dutch
No,
Clark.
no, I
Yeah.
was talking about Dutch Clark back in the 30s.
Back in the
Yeah.
30s.
Did you hear me,
Yeah.
Scott, on that one?
No, go ahead, Jeremy. Repeat yourself,
I
please.
said back then when you first got to play pool, it was so long ago that the cue ball, instead of it just being called the rock, it was a rock.
Truer words could be spoken.
Bump.
No, it's not all. That's all right, Paul. I don't mind comments like that. I've heard words. Let me tell you. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a guy who's worthy of this honor. Adrian Peterson is going to be inducted into the Vikings Hall of Fame in 2026. He amassed 11,747 yards, scored 97 rushing touchdowns, won an NFL MVP. Guess what? We're starting with the running back of this group. What are your thoughts, Mel, about Adrian Peterson going into the Vikings Hall?
I mean, it won't be long before he makes it into the Big Boy Hall of Fame as well. I mean, Adrian
Right.
Peterson was, he's a different type of running back, and what he did when he after he tore his ACL and the time frame in which he came back, and then coming back and having the best year of his career. I mean, Adrian Peterson was a problem. I mean, he ran violently. He ran with bad intentions. He could hit his head on the goalpost from anywhere on the football field. If he
Right.
would have just had a capable quarterback, I think he would have been a little bit more productive. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater was there. I think Brett Favre was there for a minute. And I got kind of excited because I think, obviously being a running back, got a little excited because, maybe Adrian, could do even more, more great things. But, he was a problem. And a lot of people say that he's one of the rare guys that probably could have came from high school and went to the pros. I doubt that very seriously. I mean, he's very, very good. Don't get me wrong. But at the running back position, coming into becoming a professional football player, playing in the NFL at the age of 18, 19 years old, I don't see it. But I mean, he was a freak in nature without question. Ran with bad intentions, could hit his head from anywhere hit his head on the goalpost from anywhere in the football field. I mean, it's well deserved.
Candy.
What do you say about somebody that ran 14,918 yards in his career, 120 touchdowns, 305 receptions for 2,474 yards. His average rushing yards was 4.6. He was one of the quickest to get to 10,000 yards. And he was in 2012, he ended with 2,097 rushing yards, just 9 yards shy of breaking Eric Dickerson's single season record. For his efforts, he received the NFL MVP award, the most recent non-quarterback to win the award. In 2013, he became the third soonest player to reach 10,000 rushing yards in NFL history. Yeah, Mel, I can only imagine what Minnesota would have done had he had a better quarterback during that whole time. Let's face it, by the time Brett got there, he was no longer in his prime. I can only imagine how much better they would have been as a team. And I guess I never realized what all the teams that Adrian was on. I didn't realize he actually played for the Lions. He played for the Vikings, the Saints, the Cardinals, the Redskins, the Lions, the Titans,
Mm-hmm.
and the Seahawks. Guess I forgot all those. I just remember him really in
Yeah.
Minnesota. So
He actually had a decent year with the Lions, if I understand correctly. It was not like
He was more
a
of a
ghost
second
there.
stringer with us that year, but yeah, he didn't do bad. It just was a normal year. He didn't get in as much as everybody wanted him to.
Yeah, but it's not like he embarrassed himself in Detroit, though.
No, I didn't say that.
no,
Bad. No, I'm just saying he didn't. I'm not saying he did or didn't. Go ahead, Candy.
I'm
Are
good.
you-
I'm good with that.
Okay, go ahead, Jeremy.
What can you say? Adrian Peterson had a great career and one of the few running backs that actually came back from what was that, an ACL, and
Yeah.
actually had his most productive season ever.
Yeah.
He tore both his ACL and MCL.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he had his record-setting year that year.
The year after, yep.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Okay. All right, hey, you got last word on it.
I what everybody else said, plus just what Mel was saying. I think he was really a freak in nature. That coming back from that injury that could have ended many a player's career. Not only that, to be a running back and to go out and do it, have your best career afterward, numbers afterwards is just. I mean, that's next level type stuff. So, he'll be first ballot. I think I just saw he's eligible in 27 in the next class, so he'll probably be first ballot. Congratulations to him, and as a Redskins fan, I'm glad he's retired.
Everybody get a piece of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Adrian Peterson, he'll get there. I'm glad the Vikings took the initiative to get it done first. That'll provide the impetus for him to get in later. All right, Mel, while you were out, I saved one topic for you exclusively, another one. And we're going to talk about the NFL hot seat rankings. I'll list them, and you tell me which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 get knocked out. We'll start off with Aaron Glenn being number 1. I'm going to go over the list, and then if you want me to go back over it, Mel, let me know. Aaron Glenn, number 1. Number 2 is Todd Bowles. Number 3 is Shane Steichen. Number 4 is Zach Taylor. And number 5 is Dan Quinn. How many of these, or all of them, do you think is likely going to find themselves a result of Black Monday later this year?
Well, they still have the season.
Yeah, but these are the early preliminary.
The Jets coach is always on that seat is always warm when you're with the Jets because it's a difficult. And I don't think they've done anything. Who they have? Geno Smith over there. I think they have his quarterback right now. So it's going to be a very difficult. It's going to be very difficult for Aaron. He's got his work cut out for him. I'm not saying that he can't do it. I was never really impressed with him as a defensive coordinator. I'm glad he got the opportunity as a young African American football coach. I'm glad he got an opportunity to run his own program. I hope for the best, but he's in a very, very difficult situation. Shane Steichen, he's with the Colts. Is that who he's coaching? The Colts?
Yeah, correct.
I don't think his seat's that warm. Dan's seat is a little warm. Todd, I don't see his seat being that warm. I mean, Baker's in a contract year. He's going to probably play lights out. They're going to have an opportunity in a very weak NFC South, to get into the playoffs. So I don't really see his seat being all that warm. There was one more that you mentioned. Who was that? We did Shane. We did Zach. Zach is Cincinnati, right?
Zach Taylor.
The Bengals have historically been very, very patient with their coaches. With Marvin Lewis, Sam Weiss, Shula. When they've been very patient with their coaches. So I can't say that he's necessarily on the hot seat, to be honest with you. I mean, it might be simmering, less than warm, but I don't think so. Just because of their history of just being very patient with their head coaches.
All right, well, let's continue on. All right, well, just to make sure Mel got his 2 cents on that one. We'll continue on. Obviously, the report out there that says San Francisco 49ers star tight end George Kittle is open to the idea of an 18-game NFL regular season as long as the league adds an extra bye, which makes a whole lot of sense. And extra bye week, and players get more money out of it. Some thoughts, Jeremy?
I've been saying that all along. As soon as it came up, we talked about this last season when we heard it was going to be coming up for the next CBA. I said that the bye week, there should be a stationary one mid season, and I think it should be right there at week 9 for the trade deadline. So when you trade for the players, they got a week just to learn the playbook and get incorporated in the system and practice. And the other one be a rotational one. Instead of waiting till week 4, let it start at week 2, run to week 8, run to week 7, have a week of a full slate of games right there at week 8, a full slate of games at week 10, and then go from 11 to 17 with the other buys. If you add it up, it's perfect. You can do 4 a week and end up at your 32.
Now that sounds like an algebra equation to me, so don't think I'm going to comment on that. But they deserve. Algebra was never, and applied geometry were never. Well, let me finish.
And I said they should expand the rosters too, but that's
okay, yeah, but I'm talking about all the other stuff you said. Let me finish. Number 1, I was never good at algebra. Number 2, I was never good at applied geometry. Now I am really good at geography, and that's my wife said. Okay, go ahead, Ed. I'm with you, John.
Well, 18 games. Yeah, I mean that sounds funny. When the 2 bye weeks and the more money, I think that would all come. But then the question is, and Mel can speak to this more than any of us, is that as the season wears on, the soreness doesn't leave as fast as it did, and where is, if we go to 18, what stops 19? If we go to 19, what stops 20? I mean, where is that line in the sand? And that just pushes the Super Bowl out. It's the first Sunday in February now, something like that. So we'll have to push it out, and then I'm sure they'll go to 18, but the question is will they then eventually try 19 and 20? Are we looking at a 20-game season at some point?
See, the schedule, that's where it gets interesting in terms of the scheduling, in terms of how far it does get dragged out. I mean, it's inevitable they're going to get 18 because they're going to want the international game to begin with. So you're going to have to find a way. Right. But with that comes the extra money and the extra bye week. So everything George Kittle's saying makes a boatload of sense. But Mel Farr's going to give me his take on it.
We know the 18th game is coming. It just doesn't look right having 17 games. It just doesn't work. So we know the 18th game is coming. What is the league going to have to give up? What do the players want in order to play that 18th game? Now, they're not going to have a universal bye week. That's not going to happen because now you have no programming that particular
exactly.
So now you're going to have 18 games over 20 weeks now. So they have to start the season maybe a little bit earlier. So now you got an additional, week of programming. Obviously, that's more money for the NFL. That's more money because you have an additional week of football games. That's got to be more money for the players too. It has to come out as more money for the players as well. So it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if it happens. It's just a matter of when it happens. But it's going to happen, and it's just a matter of what the NFL is willing to give up, and what are the players asking for in order for that 18th game to happen.
No question about it. All right, go ahead, Candy.
Yeah, like everybody said, 18 is inevitable. I do agree that they should have a bigger roster at that point because I think injuries will play a factor, and I think just to rest some players, rotate them more, and get a little bit more people in there, I would say. But definitely, if you're gonna add a week to their schedule, then yes, you have to pay them. You're making the money those weeks. You should definitely be paying them a little bit more money. Although I'd argue, I mean, it's entertainment. So do I think they all get paid a lot of money? Yes, but I do realize that football is more of an injury-prone sport. So yes, I understand, but a lot of money to be made too.
Let's continue to proceed here. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. The only quarterbacks in NFL history with back-to-back 13-win seasons include Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Brett Favre. Some thoughts, Jeremy?
Great list to be included in, isn't it? Isn't a bunch of
Yeah.
them Hall of Famers now?
Yeah,
So,
it's
Sam
ridiculous.
Darnold joined that list. Congratulations to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie.
Yes, I would say, yeah. I mean, that's a list of Hall of Famers. I think if you keep having 13 win seasons, you end up your name will probably be on that Hall of Fame list at some point.
Mel.
Hey, Scott, we're talking about quarterbacks, and just it just popped in my mind a couple of weeks ago. Your quarterback, the first round sleeper you had. What happened to him? He didn't make it to camp. What happened?
Oh no, Mel! I replayed. I was you that show. I brought him up.
Okay.
I took your place. Don't worry.
Okay.
We took care of that.
Okay.
We took care of being cut.
We had your back on that one.
Yeah. That's all right. Now, we I had your back on that one. We make sure we brought that up that he was cut right before training camp.
All right, so here, hold on. I'm going to do something that's been very popular these days. Ever heard of Dr. Fauci?
You gonna plead the fifth?
I'm pleading the fifth until I bring it in as a topic. So I figure Dr. Fauci's trending, so I'm pleading the fifth. All right, but go ahead.
But
you can continue. You could continue with the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say, but that's okay. You got me there. I'm not saying nothing.
I was just asking.
I'm pleading the fifth.
I was asking
not 111 times either.
Asking for a friend. That's good.
All right, go ahead.
Like I said, winning in the NFL is very, very difficult. But quarterbacks play a large role in that because they touch the ball more than anybody else. But it's more than just a quarterback. You have to assemble a great team, and some of those guys you talked about obviously had some good teams, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but also on the defensive side of the ball, because it takes, both sides of the football in order to win football games and be successful like that. So it's not just the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks kind of get all, they kind of get all the praise when things are going well. And then, somebody else becomes a fall guy when things aren't necessarily going well sometimes. But, it's a great list to be on. They're very, very, very fortunate to have been on the teams and have the coaches that they had and the players that they were surrounded by help them and enable them to put up the type of numbers, put up those winning numbers that they had for a couple seasons in a row.
Hey, Candy.
There's no I in team, but hey, those are some great quarterbacks. They played for some good teams too, if I do recall. But no, in all seriousness.
No, at least one for Aaron Rodgers, anyways.
Sure, Brett too. Because Brett was on that list too.
They both equal the same amount of Super Bowls.
More than the Lions. That's
hey,
all
that's
I'm
okay.
say.
That's okay. I admitted that we don't have any.
Mm-hmm.
I second that for all the wrong reasons, but I will say this much: they got me in 4 games, so at least I can live off of that.
Amen.
But that's a really good list. I can say that one of Scott's favorite quarterbacks is on that list. Kudos to Sam for making that list, because who would have thought going in that he'd be in the names with those quarterbacks. So kudos to him, and like Mel said, it's a team sport, so it takes the whole team. Doesn't happen too often.
Hey, listen, I'm not afraid to admit, but Brett Favre is my favorite quarterback of all time. You know why I say that? Because he's a gunslinger, people. And I'll tell you, if you're a gunslinger and you're Brett Favre and you played that many games, consecutive games, you're always to be my favorite quarterback. Because Mel and I can admit, and so too Jeremy, Metro Detroit's a blue-collar working town. You can't appreciate blue-collar. God help anybody. So I have no problem admitting here on a live show here that Brett Favre is my favorite quarterback, just like I have a cat named Rusty who's my service cat. How about that? A plug for Rusty, everybody. There you go. How do you feel? Get off your system. Yep. All right. We're going to talk about the United Football League a little bit. Why? Because it's interesting stuff. Get this. Okay, Louisville legend and former NFL quarterback Chris Redman was named head coach of the Louisville Kings. He proceeded to win a UFL title. Here's a little bit more interesting information about it. They won that title, obviously, in June. But when you look at the totality of the whole thing, this team here Drew, they lead the average attendance 11,195 fans. Jeremy, they got themselves a good market out in Louisville, don't they?
Yes, they do. Kentucky has wanted a professional team of some sort for some time now, other than minor league baseball. And they finally got it in the football team, the Louisville Kings. And congratulations on their inaugural season equaling a championship. Unfortunately, their wide receiver, Tariq Black, that the Lions signed, was cut because we had to make room in the tight end room due to injuries. We signed tight end Nick Muse, formerly drafted in the 4th round by the Vikings for 4 years ago.
But let's just talk about the Louisville Kings in general, Jeremy. You talk about what the model that they're trying to build here, but you're talking about 11,195 a game, which is nearly the average attention, which was really high. Chris Redmond, the native son, did a whale of a job there. He really did. In his first head coaching job, winning a title. That says a lot in its own sense.
Yeah, I mean, I gave credit to that.
Yeah, no, it's just amazing.
He checked all the boxes, and Louisville checked all the boxes and showed that they wanted a team. 11,000 coming right out of the gate. I think that shows to Jeremy's point that Kentucky was really hungry for a professional franchise other than minor league baseball. I think it shows Chris Redmond has what it takes. They say those who can't play coach. So he's obviously able to take his skills and he's able to communicate it to a group of men who, as a coach, you have to have the respect. And, some guys are gifted right out of the gate with it. And obviously, they beat my DC team. So I got to be careful how much praise I dump on this guy. But, so he's good for him. And you don't see that. Hopefully, it's not a flash in the pan, because you don't often see them come right out of the gates and win it. So, as a first-year head coach in a new franchise,
Mel,
I think it goes back to what we talked about a few weeks ago. They did have a pro team that had the Kentucky Colonels there for the men in the ABA, but I think it talked about what we talked about. They got to get those mid markets, teams that don't have a professional sports franchise there. It just makes more sense to have a team stationed somewhere like that, where fans don't get an opportunity to go out and see pro football, or if they do, they have to travel far. I mean, they have to go from Louisville to Cincinnati. I know that's not that far of a drive, but it is a little bit of a drive. They have to go, all the way to Cincinnati if they want to see a professional football team. But Louisville is it's not a small market. It's not a huge market, but it is a great market. And, we know with Louisville, football and basketball is like there. Kentucky's famous for horse racing. So, I mean, there's a lot of people there in Louisville, and they have some extra time and they have a little extra cash, even though it's not that expensive to go see one of those games, where they can take time to go and enjoy a football game, take it in a football game. And I think that's something that they need to look at. They need to get out of those big markets where they already have professional teams, especially if they have multiple professional teams, especially if they have a football team. But I mean, I think it says a lot about the people of Kentucky and their desire to take in football. And, it's great for the coach and his first coaching job for him to, win a championship. That's outstanding.
Okay, Candy. And then after this, you go to a station break.
Speaking to Mel's point, so the average UFL attendance numbers from the 2026 season: Birmingham 8,248, Columbus 10,362, Dallas 6,449, DC was 9,000, Houston, lowest of them all, 5,683, Louisville 11,195, Orlando 9,830, St. Louis topped them all at 23,239. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the places that don't have professional football, look at what they did. They outdrew, like Dallas and Houston both have NFL teams, and they were the lowest two in the market. So yeah, kudos to the UFL for going into these places that don't have the professional, that obviously people want to see football. They love football. They want to go to games. And some of those for Louisville, Scott, were 2 weather-related games too, where they had severe storms and stuff like that. So kudos
Right.
to them, and kudos to them winning it all. With that
Well,
being, oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
one thing I want to add to it. Keep in mind the Birmingham Stallions are no more, and the Houston Gamblers are no more. We'll find out exactly what happens with those franchises. Go ahead, Candy.
Station break. Here we go. South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by, I got one too. Jeremy, you got one. I got one. Mel's got one. Scott.
I think even Ed's got one.
I think Ed's got one too.
Yeah, he does actually.
Written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Audio link is also out there. And the link to buy the book is also on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content, including Jeremy's writings as well. So go check out the website. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be a guest or you have topic ideas that you want us to cover, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you see the red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to us. What are you waiting for? Just click it, like, a share with all your friends and family, and turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. Monday nights is baseball night. Tuesday nights is football. Wednesday night, absolutely anything goes. Thursday night, Scott's doing hockey this week, and then there's Fire Up, which is the country club. So make sure you tune in to the country club. And then Monday nights, we also do travel. We came up with a new YouTube channel. It is called Destination Discoveries Media Network. QR code in the top left corner is actually Destination Discoveries right now. Make sure you tune in and check that out. Back to South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. Scott and I were at Miami Hurricanes Media Day yesterday. Scott wore out his voice, literally. He did 14 interviews in less than 2 hours, and they will all be going up. He got quarterback. He got Darian Mensah. He got Malachi Toney. He got Mark Fletcher. He got Jason Taylor. He got a numerous other. You got the offensive coordinator. Numerous others. Go check out the YouTube channel. We will be putting them up, and you'll be able to see them soon. There you go. Scott, back to you.
Yeah, and you know what, Patty? Panthers will get another team in 2028 once they get that soccer stadium straightened away out in Southwest Detroit. That's not a matter of if they want to go back there. They just couldn't play at Ford Field, so they're coming back. And when I talk about the Stallions, the Gamblers, they're a different situation altogether. They don't have any alternatives, but I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, Shannon Dawson, boy, you talk about most colorful cats I've ever seen. This guy was good, and yes, it was good to talk to Mark Fletcher and Darian Mensah. To continue. All right, we got time for Jeremy. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, other than the trade news, we finally did something in Detroit that fans have been clamoring for ever since the beginning of the season. We called up McGonigal, but we didn't call up his best friend from the Toledo Mud Hens, Max Clark, the outfielder that everybody said is one of the best prospects in America. I think he was top 5 according to Baseball America. He finally gets called up, and what does he do in his first 2 games? Well, it's actually pretty amazing. This kid went 4 of 11 with 3 walks, a home run. I think it was 5 RBIs. I'm bringing up a graphic, Candy. There it is. I made it look like one of the old-time baseball cards. Yeah. 5 for 11, 4 runs, 3 RBIs, a home run, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, a .455 batting average, an on-base percentage of .535 with an OPS of 1.083 for his first 2 games. What a nice little run there, or first 3 games. What a nice little run for Max Clark. He's living up to that expectation that we projected. I'm looking forward to who's next on the call-up list with the plethora of prospects that we got through the trades we made the last couple of weeks. Edward Valencia, the 29-year-old we called up, his first at bat, what does he do? He pounds one in Comerica Park right out the park in center field. Yeah, I mean, you can't ask for a better debut than that. A guy that languished in the minors for 9 years due to a few injuries that hampered him.
Great stuff. Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm glad you're able to provide some Tiger updates anyway, because I haven't been able to get as many of them as I want to yet. Although we did talk about the Tigers a little bit on Monday night on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, as we talked about whether or not the Terrence Skubal trade was going to get closer to lockout. Many of us agreed that they did. Barry Foote went out there and even said, hey, if you know you're going to trade somebody, you might as well trade them way earlier than wait till now. And I think Barry's 100%, especially when Scott Boras is your agent. So with that said, what else you want to add to that, Jeremy? Because I know you're chomping to say something else.
What you say about Scott Boras, it's funny when you look at the history of every major league superstar he's had over the past 10 seasons. You want to know what's interesting about that? All of them have either been traded or signed to the Dodgers, who he has season tickets for.
Really? No kid. I didn't know that. So now we got Jeremy Bullrich, jack of all trades, becoming our baseball expert. Scary thought here on inside the pigskin. What can I tell you? So let's talk about a little bit of the program. Katie, why don't you, before Eddie gets back here, why don't you give everybody a little bit of an idea of what we accomplished in Naples? Great place if you haven't been there before.
So we were in Naples on Sunday. We visited some intercoastal. We went past some huge mansions. We actually, we went to one of the public parkings and walked on the pathway to go to the beach. While we were doing that, Scott and I started talking with two young ladies that had both just graduated, and one of them agreed to come on, so Scott did a 5-minute interview with Caroline, who just graduated from college and is going to start her teaching career down in Naples. She's a Naples native. And yeah, you talked with her, and then we met up with Steve Ballesteri, who does your Motor City Mad Mouse show, and they did a 15-minute video in what's called Veterans Park down in Naples. So that one's not up yet on the website or on the YouTube channel. It will be up very soon, but watch for details and turn those notifications on so you're notified when we go live.
Hey, Mel, do you have anything that you want to say at all? I know you have a segment every week. Is there anything over the last few weeks that have been building up inside of you?
Well, running backs are finally getting some respect. Bijan Robinson just signed a contract, 3 years, $75 million. Guys on TV all of a sudden are coming from under the ether and realizing that the running back position has been undervalued for quite some period of time. You know, I look at it and I'm trying to, I know, Scott, you said earlier you weren't very good at math. I'm not all that great at math either, but, help me understand, Zay Flowers, he just got 4 years, $140 million. Right. He caught 80 some odd passes last year, 5 touchdowns. Now, Bijan, that just signed with the Falcons, he rushed for over 1,000 yards. I don't know how many carries he had, but I know he had 79 receptions, just a few less than Zay Flowers. And Bijan got $75 million, $50 million guaranteed. I think Zay Flowers got $140 million, 4 years, over $100 million guaranteed. Now, I don't understand these owners. Why are you paying somebody who touches the ball that few times a game that kind of money that doesn't have as great an impact on the outcome of the game as somebody who does touch the ball? Bijan probably had 300 some odd carries for the season, plus he caught 79 balls. He's not a running back. This guy, he is a weapon. He is a weapon, and he's somebody that has to be dealt with. And I don't understand. Breece Hall, I think he's getting like $15 million. I'm good. Again, I'm not saying that every running back should break the bank. I'm not saying that. But when you have a special guy, you got to pay him. I'm saying Brees Hall, but because running backs are being undervalued, I think he is underpaid. He should get about $20 million. I think that Bijan and I think that Jameer should be getting close to $30 million. What these receivers are getting, $32 million a year, with close to what these receivers are getting to touch the ball. 8 times a game, which doesn't make any sense to me. They don't have that great of an impact on the game. You can't really utilize a wide receiver in late in the playoffs. In inclement weather. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have a Bijan? Or would you rather have a Jameer Gibbs? Would you rather have a Derrick Henry? Or you want Zay Flowers and all those wide receivers and all the great things that they can do? What can they do in the snow? What can they do in the sloppy field conditions? What can they do in the cold? Not a whole lot that they can do. When you're leading in the fourth quarter, do you want to throw the ball around a lot, or do you want to shorten the game and start running the football? So they're finally coming around to the fact that running backs have been undervalued. And I'm happy for it. I was happy to see Bijan get his money. We know that, it's only going to last for so long that he's the highest paid running back because I'm happy that these guys and these pugnates are starting to realize that position. If you have someone in that position, like the guys that I talked about in Saquon Barkley and guys of that ilk. It just makes life that much easier on your quarterback, and also makes it that much easier for the rest of the football team, defense, wide receivers, everybody, if you're able to run the football effectively.
Mel, to your point, Bijan had 287 attempts last year, rushing for 1,478 yards, 79 receptions for 820 yards.
And Zay Flowers had 80 some odd receptions last year for 1,200 yards. So I mean, he might have got a reverse or two or something like that, but I mean, he's not touching the ball 300 times throughout the course of the year. He's not touching it 300, almost 400 times. So it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, why are you going to pay the guy who touches the ball more and is more productive and more of a weapon? Why would you pay him less than somebody who's only going to touch the ball a few times during the course of the game?
Okay, great stuff. We have another UFL note I want to pass on when we have an opportunity to do it. The Dallas Renegades actually drafted the tallest punter in pro football history. His name is Brendan Hall out of Montana State. He had 68 punts for 1,891 yards, 45 yards per punt, 21 inside the 20. Jeremy, imagine this, a punter who's actually, get this, like I said, the tallest punter in, what was he, like 6'7", 6'9"? Candy, why don't you do the research on this?
I mean, that could work for you and against you, right?
Right.
Long steps, you're up there further into the line of scrimmage, could possibly get a lot of punts blocked.
So you have the research on it, Candy?
6'9", 232-pound kicker and punter, widely recognized as the tallest specialist in modern football.
And power forward.
Oh, that's a lot. Okay, is Andrew back yet? I believe he is. Pretty sure he is. Okay, we'll see if he gets settled up here. Yes, he is back. Okay, Ed,
yeah,
for that?
6'9". Is it a kicker?
Yeah.
Blocker,
Punter.
Kicker, punter.
Punter.
Yeah,
Kicker and punter.
Yeah, and power forward for the local basketball team, as Mel was saying. Yeah, 6'9". How much does he weigh? Is he
232 pounds?
232.
Oh, that's right. That's kind of a money weight right there. I mean, he might be going down. If you guys, who was it? Matt Turk of the Redskins. If you guys remember him, he was one of those crazy punters. He would punt it, but he liked the collision of the game, and he would go down and he would try to lay hits on people. And he was that's games can be won and lost with special teams. I mean, whenever we've seen a block punt return for a touchdown, missed field goal, mixed extra point, and so on. So. Who's this guy? Who's he playing for? He
started his college career at SMU, transferred to Montana State University, and now, Scott, you said he's playing for.
Well, he was at last I saw with Dallas Renegades United Football League.
Okay, Dallas. All right, that's
Got a good wingspan, 6'9", going to get you a big wingspan. All right, who's spoken on this so far?
Everybody but me. Um,
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what. You got a kicker punter that big. You know what that reminds me of? There was a guy a little bit shorter that weighed more that used to love to hit returners and people that picked up the block kicks. Sebastian Janikowski. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's that type of guy. Pat McAfee was another one as a punter that
I was
loved
just
to tackle
I was just
people.
gonna say Pat McAfee. Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay. All right, let's continue on. You talked about the Washington Redskins. I found out something interesting. I'll just bring it up as a topic. But there's a report that says the Washington Post said 90% of Native Americans supported the Washington Redskins. Hey, you know what? Whether they
That's
decide to
true.
do it. So go ahead, Jeremy. Take the lead on this.
Well, it's crazy, but guess what? Guess what's the most worn starter jacket in Mount Clemens, Michigan, where the casino is? Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
They refused to call them the Guardians, and they said when they were the Washington football team, they all the same with the Cleveland, but anyways, they refused to call them the Commanders. They refused to say WFT when they were the Washington football team because they said I thought it was more like WTF because we miss Chief Whitefeather.
Yeah. Very true.
Right.
Very
well, you
true.
know what, Eddie? That's your neck of the woods. Go ahead. What are your thoughts about it?
I was never for changing it. You see me, I call them the Redskins still. It's, I bleed burgundy and gold every Sunday and all the time. I live 20 minutes from Redskins Park. It's, it's kind of, it's kind of really, the narrative was really got misskewed outside of this area. The Indians, the relatives of the guy who actually drew the picture, the guy who drew it was I forget which tribe he
It was his
from.
great grandson.
Right, thank you. Great grandson drew. Great grandfather drew the picture. It wasn't like by some white American person. It was a Native American who drew it. They all liked it. And the new ownership group has said unequivocally that it is not going back. It is staying the Commanders because they believe that the Commanders is starting to kind of take motion. And all us Redskins guys are dying off, is what it is.
I'll just say one thing. It's a Dan Snyder thing. They didn't like him. They didn't like the Redskins. Unfortunately, you're not getting the Redskins back. Go ahead, Mel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I think Dan Snyder did that trying to save himself and in hopes of being able to keep the team. I think he did that. You really have to ask. I'm not a part of all those conversations. I've heard a lot of people, and I've heard Native Americans say that they were okay with the name. Then you hear some that aren't. I don't know. It's kind of like the whole Free Britney thing. People, got on this bandwagon and started talking about Free Britney and all this kind of stuff, and get rid of the conservator and all that. And then once she's able to do her own thing, I mean, she's been a train wreck ever since. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I like the Redskins. I mean, but if it was offensive to folks, I mean, I can understand how it could be offensive. If it was offensive, then they needed to change the name and need to just forget about it. We just need to move on. And now they're the Commanders. And they need to come up with a new song that has the Commanders in it and keep it moving. Yeah, I mean, I grew up, Redskins, so it's difficult for me. I also grew up, San Diego Chargers. I have to deal with the LA Chargers now. So, we'll all get used to it. I mean, eventually we will get used to it, or we will die off as the dinosaurs, and other people will.
The one thing that changes, the one thing that would make things better and make it go away real quick is if we start winning. If we win games and we win playoff games and we win Super Bowls, nobody's going to care.
All I can say is RFK Stadium is where I saw the Lions play the Redskins, not the Commanders. I'll leave it at that. I'd love to see the Redskins back, but there's perception, there's reality. The Redskins aren't coming back. Candy, some final thoughts on this? Then we're going to get to our featured topic of the night.
So this one kind of hits home a little bit, only because I graduated from Menominee Falls Indians, and I was an Indian, and I always looked up to that. Now because of all of this, they retired Indian, and now they're the Phoenix. But and I can see where Redskin might be a little bit different, but I always thought as a mascot that you were looking up to it. Obviously, the other team is not looking up to what your name is. So, do I understand? Yes, to a certain extent. If it was offensive to people, yes, but it's unfortunate because I always remember them as the Redskins, just like I will always be a Menominee Falls Indian.
What's wrong with that? Okay, Snoil, Seabass was actually an athlete. Saw Decleat, if they're you guys. Okay, we're putting up our featured topic of the night. And it is our featured topic. Let me give you a little background on the situation. Indiana's record 3 years before, Curt Cignetti, 9-27. Guess what? Now national champions. I had a chance to catch up with Curt Cignetti, and what we ended up talking about was something that became pretty, I don't like to use the word viral because sometimes it comes across in a way, but it got wind anyway. But Bob Knight became the first men's Division I coach with 900 wins. And I'll tell you one thing, we got a soundbite here from Mr. Cignetti. Go ahead, Candy.
Screen.
First question is for Coach
Your
Cignetti.
name. Your name.
Scott Morgan Ross, South Florida Tribune. First of all, you have a chance tomorrow night to do something that Bob Knight did, and that's go undefeated and tied to win a national championship. What are your thoughts about Bob Knight and you had to begin with, and what you have a chance to do, obviously, tomorrow night, because obviously he's revered on that campus?
Yeah, it was 50 years ago, as a matter of fact. And I was a big kind of Bob Knight fan as a little kid. I liked sort of the shenanigans and the faces at the press conferences and throwing the chair across the court. I thought that was pretty cool. And the guy I bought my house from was a big friend of Bob Knight.
And what you have a chance to do, obviously, tomorrow night, because obviously he's revered on that campus.
Yeah, it was 50 years ago, as a matter of fact. And I was a big kind of Bob Knight fan as a little kid. I liked sort of the shenanigans and the faces at the press conferences and throwing the chair across the court. I thought that was pretty cool. And the guy I bought my house from was a big friend of Bob Knight, actually. So, I think, but it really has no effect on what's going to take place here, 7:50 tomorrow night. And but it was 50 years ago, and if we're able to climb that mountain, it'll be a unique coincidence.
And Mario, you obviously. Is that all you get? I think we talked about the national championship game. Did you get that?
You asked Mario. Do you want me to keep going with the tape?
Yeah. Well, I'm thought about that. We talked to Cignetti about being undefeated and untied, right?
You did. It
okay,
came up
I did
at the
mention
beginning of it. Yeah.
Okay, I did. Okay, just making sure. All right, let me go with particulars about Bob Knight. First Division I coach with 900 wins when Texas Tech ended up beating Texas A&M on February 4th of 28. He announced his retirement, finishing his career 902, 371. His 902 wins in the NCAA was actually at the time 6th all-time. Knight had distinction of being the youngest coach to reach 200 at age 35, 300 at age 40, 400 at age 44. Also among the youngest to reach milestones in 500 at age 48, age 652. All right, Jeremy, give me your thoughts about the whole thing between Knight and Cignetti. That was just unbelievable. It was a great opportunity for me at the time. I didn't cover the national championship game, but to be able to talk to Curt Cignetti reflects on the job they've done at Indiana.
Yep. And what's great about the two of them, they both coached at the same school, which is the only school to have a men's basketball team and a football program go undefeated in a season.
Yeah.
You say what you want about anything else with those two, that's going to make them stay in the NCAA record books a long, long time.
Amazingly enough, what you say about that, and I'm just picking on a particular place, Alabama Crimson Tide cannot say that. but the Indiana Hoosiers could, and their pass crossed, and obviously Indiana got their tail kicked by Alabama got their tail kicked by Indiana, and you wouldn't have seen this many years ago, but it happened in college football playoffs. Go ahead, Eddie.
Yeah, actually, what really rang out to me is that he said he's been a fan since he was a young guy growing up, and it's funny. My family, my dad was a huge Bobby Knight fan. My whole family's a Bobby Knight fan. I have a nephew who went to Indiana just right before they got really. He graduated like a year or two before. Yeah, year or two before they won the national championship. Nonetheless, it's funny because when he said he liked Bob Knight and he could relate, I kind of thought of some of the sound bites I've seen, and even in that, he has a different he has some Bobby Knight esque kind of idiosyncrasies or movements that he's just that if you feel like if you pushed him too far he'd snap at you, where a lot of other guys would keep their cool. He might not throw a chair across the court, but I was big Bobby Knight fan. Big Curt Cignetti fan, as I've said on this show many a time. Been watching him since his James Madison days. So I hope now I'm a big Indiana fan because I really like the coach and what he's doing. And he's if he wasn't doing it right, the players wouldn't have followed. So that's saying something. He did it right. 15 players followed, and that's just going to spread. And Jeremy, great point. Or was it you who said? I mean, those. Oh no, it was Scott who said. They both had undefeated seasons. And
That was
that
me.
will there that was you. Okay, that's legacy right there. No matter what else. I mean, no matter what else happens.
See, I have Bob Knight's book Season on the Brink in my shelves. I think I read
Yes.
it many years ago. It's a good book too. All right, Mel, some thoughts
Hmm.
about Curt Cignetti, my interview or with him, at least the questions we had. I'll tell you, he's unbelievable what he's done with Indiana. We'll get to more Hoosier stuff, but the fact that he inherits a 9 in 2017 and before long they're national champions speaks volumes in itself. But what are your thoughts between Cignetti respecting the heck out of Bob Knight the way that he does?
I have a lot of respect for Curt Cignetti and what he's done. He recruited my nephew when he was at Elon, and I have nothing but respect for him and what he's done at that program at Indiana. I mean, I think it says more about him going undefeated in football, especially in today's game, versus what Indiana did in basketball back then, because that was kind of, teams were kind of doing that. They were kind of going undefeated back during that time. I mean, I know UCLA went undefeated a few years. Teams were they were kind of doing that, but in football, especially now, with the NIL and especially at that program, I mean, let's be real. A place
Yeah.
that just has not
Right.
done anything ever since they've had a football program at University of Indiana. They haven't done anything. And like I said, I took a recruiting visit there only because I'm trying to fill up my recruiting visits. I think you got 5. I only took 2, and I said, well, might as well go to Indiana and just take one more. I had no intention of going to Indiana. Just went on the visit. But I think I'm more impressed with what he did in the day, and then going to the playoffs. They had the expanded playoffs, so even though they had the bye week, you're still playing some good football teams during the playoffs, and there's an opportunity, because you're talking about 17, 18, 19-year-old players. Even though I understand that his players were older than the Chicago Bears, you still have that opportunity for something to happen. Where bad breakup, bad test, whatever the case may be. And so I think what he did is very impressive, especially right now, given the climate that we have in college football right now.
Well, they did it the hard way. They played more games. All right, Candy.
I think it's interesting that
You were
both
there.
of the I was. I will what I would say is that I think what's very interesting is both these coaches started at other schools that had losing records, turned them around, and then came to Indiana and turned both of those programs around. Yeah, Indiana is obviously considered a basketball school, so for Curt to do what he did at Indiana, in let's face it, in the Big Ten, Indiana was not known as a football school. If you're
In the
talking about
NCAA.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. Yeah.
Correct. But especially like in the conference, because it starts in the conference. Like, you talk, I mean, and to go undefeated. And yes, maybe they didn't play all the big names last year, but
They played
still,
everybody. Played everybody on their schedule.
well, they did. Correct. But there's how many teams in the conference? Well, yes.
I mean, they played the
But
Big Ten championship game. I'm sure that wasn't a slouch.
no, I agree with you. I agree with you. Um, what what they did to the program, and Scott, for you to, and for Curt to say that it was 50 years ago, like that's just, it wasn't
Mhm.
49, it wasn't, that's just kind of cool that it was 50 years and that he remembered that and talked about it with you. So I thought that was really cool. Good question.
Thank you.
I thought
Appreciate
that
all
was
this.
great what James Burgess just said there, right there. Snoil. He says,
Yeah.
"What's inside the pigskin? Air. A little less if Tom Brady is throwing it."
That's pretty funny. All right. Well, while we have an opportunity, let's go ahead and wish happy birthday to Marv Levy, who has turned 101. Let me give you a Marv Levy story that I have over at the Super Bowl many years ago when I covered it. I talked to him about the wing T offense. And let me tell you, if anybody knows much about football, the wing T offense, and Coach Levy says to me, you know what? I can't believe there's somebody in here that actually remembers the wing T offense. And that's when he played with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's safe to say with Jim Kelly, he didn't need it there. But, happy 101st birthday to Coach
Wow.
Marv Levy. Getting to 100 is unbelievable. The fact this guy been to 101, from what I hear, he looks fantastic. Some quick thoughts, Jeremy, about Marv Levy.
Playoffs? But anyways,
Yeah.
I had to do it.
Yeah, it's okay.
The guy was a great coach. He just wasn't able to get his team, or his players let him down because they're the ones on the field doing it. Granted, twice it was wide left. But other than that, what a great coach. What a great career he had with Buffalo.
Great coach, great career. We were one of the 4 losses that they took in that run. I was happy to see that. That was the last time we won a Super Bowl. Doing the math, 36 years ago. Yeah, good for him. 101. I didn't know he was that old. I mean, that's excellent. And no, maybe he lives long enough to see Buffalo win the Super Bowl. I don't know. Happy birthday to Marv, though.
That's funny. He may live longer than I am. But all right, go ahead, Mel.
Yeah, they had some great teams back late 80s, early 90s with the K-Gun offense, that defense, Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas,
Right.
Andre Reed, Jim Kelly, obviously, running that offense. And, good friend of mine, he played on 4 of those teams. Well, a couple guys that played with the UCLA played in those teams. Mike Lodish and a guy named Marvicus Patton played on those teams back then. And, I'm sure it was a great time. They never, they didn't win the last game. I'm sure that, kind of sticks in his craw because he never got an opportunity to finish the job. But what an outstanding coach! Probably an even better person from everything that I've heard about him. And what a blessing to see 101 trips around the sun. That's a blessing.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
it
my
is.
interaction with Coach Levy was unbelievable. That's one time when you wish I had digital stuff, candy ebling, and all the other things that would allow me to get those moments I never had a shot at. But just to have the memories of Coach Marv Levy, talking to him, and the thing that stands out is that wing T offense that he acknowledged me enough to say, hey, well, I can't believe somebody remembers it. It's something that always stands out. Candy, some thoughts, 2 more topics before we wrap it up tonight.
Let's not forget, he is a 2-time Grey Cup champion back in 74 and 75 before he even went to the NFL. So kudos to him. Long career, and he's had health issues too because he was diagnosed with prostate cancer back in 95. So,
Which he evidently beat.
obviously to be 101
right,
now,
exactly.
like, that's pretty amazing. So,
Yeah, good stuff. All right, 2 other things I want to get to. I've heard of loyalty, but when John Harbaugh ended up leaving Baltimore, Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti fired him over the phone after 18th season and the Super Bowl. Okay, Jeremy, I think lots of ways to get fired, but over the phone, it after 18 seasons?
Well, if you
I don't like it.
ask Aaron Rodgers, he'd have rather been told over the phone instead of face to face by Eric Glenn that they weren't going to resign him. So, anyways, is it disrespectful? Yes. After that long of being with one organization with one set of owners, you would think it would have been handled better.
Yeah, I think so too. Eddie, you were there.
No, yeah, yes, there's better ways to do that. The way that either Steve Bisciotti's a real ass. Excuse me, can I say that on YouTube? Real ass.
Well, almost.
Real ass, or there was more. There was more to the story that we just don't know, and that's he did it via phone because that was just probably the better way to handle it. So, anyway.
Hey, Mel,
tell us how
I wouldn't
you
say
really
it's the
feel.
better. I wouldn't say it's the better way to handle it. I think it's probably the easier way to handle it because you don't have to see the person's face. You don't have to deal with any emotions. You don't have to deal with your emotions. I don't know if that's how it went down. If you're saying that's how it went down, that's how it went down. But I think after being around someone for 18 years, not only owe it to him, you owe it to yourself to look that person face to face and just say, hey, been thinking a lot about this lately and just think it's time to, go in another direction. I just think, we had a good run here. But I think, as the owner of the, and I love you, John. I love the heck out of you. Loved everything that you've done for this program, what you've done, the Super Bowl that you won. But I just think right now at this point in time, I just think it's, time for new leadership. I mean, how difficult is that to do? How hard is that? So, I mean, I don't know. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So, I mean, that's the least he could have done. Again, I don't know if that's exactly how it went down, that he just called him on the phone. But, I mean, if you're saying that that's what happened, I think that's pretty a coward's way of handling it.
Well, this is a whole lot more than the Delaware situation we got into earlier, but you live and learn. But no, this situation to get fired over the phone, to me, I still don't like it. But then again, what Jeremy said with Aaron Glenn and Aaron Rodgers was far worse. That's why I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for Aaron Glenn. Sorry, people. All right, Katie, last word on this. We'll go to our variable topic.
Not only was he fired on the phone, he was fired on the phone on his way home from the team facility.
There you go, Mel.
So it's not even like it was that long that he could have, Steve could have met him at the team facility. He didn't want to be a jerk and summon him back to the office so he could fire him. Well, when did you decide that you were going to fire him? And don't you have enough respect for the job he's done? No matter that he's done it for 1 year or 18 years for you, you couldn't do it face to face. I mean, he took the easy way out. That's the long and the short of it. Easy way out so he didn't have to see the emotions of someone as they're being fired. It is not an easy thing. I'll be honest, I've been on the wrong side of that. And yeah, your reaction, I'm sure for him, he felt it was coming. I really doubt it after an 8-9 season, but it knocks the whole wind out of your sails.
Okay, let's go go ahead, Jeremy. Something you want to add?
Oh, yeah. I'm quite sure the phone call went a lot like a lot of breakups do. It's not you, it's me.
Okay, there you go. Let's go to our variable topic of the night. Pretty good one, I should say, too. Magic Johnson called out Luka Doncic. Well, we all know why they're doing it. The guy's overweight. There are some thoughts, Jeremy. Magic Johnson's right. Luka Doncic needs to get in shape. And if he doesn't, he ain't going to win a title. Go ahead.
Well, proof is he just got to play with that guy over there in L.A. that was supposed to be the next coming of you-know-what, and they didn't win a championship this year. Did they? Right. Did they make the playoffs? I forget. It was such an early exit.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Okay, Eddie.
Well, I don't know why Magic's worried about that right now. We're basketball season's not even in training camps yet. We're in football training camp. Let the guy do his thing, and he's a professional. Get himself together. These guys are professionals. He wants to win a title. he'll get himself in shape and do what needed to be done.
Mel,
What exactly was Magic's comment? I didn't hear you.
he just calls him out. Everybody knows why he's calling him out. The guy's out of shape.
Well, I don't. I mean, yeah, I guess so. But I mean, it's going to be an interesting year for the, for the Lakers. I mean, they're obviously they're going to look a lot different than they did last year. I think a lot has been talked about, what their starting lineup is going to look like this coming year, and a lot's going to be on Luka. And LeBron's not there anymore, and they're going to realize how much they miss LeBron, just like every other franchise did when LeBron left. They're going to realize what LeBron meant to that franchise. I mean, Austin Reeves is good. Don't get me wrong, but he's not worth what they're paying him. And LeBron has elevated a lot of people and got a lot of people paid, from Matthew Dellavedova, even Kyrie. You can say what you want to say about Kyrie. Kyrie was on a scrap heap before LeBron got there. I tell this to my buddy all the time. He laughs at me, but I mean, Kyrie wasn't doing nothing with the Cavaliers. Cavaliers weren't going anywhere with Kyrie. But who was the other one that just left from there? From the Lakers and got paid, but I can't remember the bald-headed guy. But
Anthony Davis?
No, the white guy, bald-headed white guy with the headband. I can't think of his name. He plays with Denver or somebody. I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, I mean, LeBron gets a lot of people paid. Tristan Thompson, he got paid. I mean, what has Tristan done since LeBron left? Nothing. So, LeBron, and they're going to find out what Austin Reeves is. I mean, he's going to be, there's a reason why he was around in the second round. Now, there's some guys that do pan out, that were second rounders, that do pan out to be good players. Jalen Brunson being one of them. He was drafted in the second round, but obviously they just missed. I just don't think Austin Reeves is exactly who they believe that he is, because he doesn't play any defense. I mean, that's the biggest problem that both him and Luka have, is they play no defense, not little to none. They play no defense whatsoever. So it's going to be interesting to see. And Magic, Magic is Magic. He's always going to interject. So there's not a microphone that Magic Johnson didn't like.
Well, let me give you the quote real quick, okay? Luka, I don't understand. This is not Dallas. We shouldn't have to tell you to be in shape. You should have been about that. This is going to be an important offseason for the Lakers. Basically, someone's got to get in shape. That's all he's doing, and that's been a weight problem
last year, I thought, but he got hurt. He couldn't. He can't stay.
Yeah,
healthy,
but I'm just saying in general, Mel. Okay, that Luka Doncic has always been a problem, where he's always been overweight, and Magic said they're not doing that here in LA. That's all. I guess the one thing, a term you should be familiar with, Mel. That has been his Achilles heel. He's been out of shape. I understand that. If you're out of shape, you're not going to play well in basketball.
That's what you don't want to be. I mean, one thing I did, you're not going to play well in anything. You're not going to play well in anything. And one thing I wouldn't, I may not have lifted all the weight when I was playing football, but the one thing that I did is I ran because I know fatigue makes a coward of us all. So the one thing I did, I was going to make sure I could run all day long. I wasn't going to get tired. You should do the same thing. But, some guys just don't have that stamina gene in them for whatever reason. And maybe Luka is just one of those guys. He plays at his pace, and he probably, practices and works out at his sort of pace. Heart rate doesn't really get up too much. And he doesn't play any defense, plays no defense whatsoever.
Then you're validating my argument. You can't play defense if you're overweight. He doesn't even play it anyways. At least get in shape to try. That's what I've always thought. Candy, want to add to this?
Part of the issue is Luka is oftentimes compared to Magic. So Magic is trying to distance himself, I think, from Luka. And part of it is
there's no comparison. They're different ball players. Luka shoot first. Magic was pass first.
I understand that, but if you look it up, there are a lot of people that compare the two of them a lot. So Magic is also telling them, hey, you played in Dallas. You always want to win, but there's a different expectation. Los Angeles expects championships. You now are the franchise. You need to lead the Lakers to the ultimate goal. And how do you best do that? You have to be in the best shape for you and your team to be the best leader you can be.
I mean, I think he's giving them great advice. I mean, who better knows that than Magic Johnson?
Right. Exactly.
He did it for a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That's where I'm going with this guy. He's telling him, get in shape. Get in shape. That's all. But you're 100% right. All Magic say, get in shape. Jeremy, anything you want to add to this?
Everybody needs to get in shape. And in basketball, round is not a good shape.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Good point.
Even Charles Barkley figured that out, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, think about it. How long did tractor trailer last from Michigan in the NBA?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Tractor trailer to me is a tragedy. It really is, because I
He was.
understand that. Yeah. But I understand your point. I really do. That was a real tragedy. It really was. Okay. Well, what a show we've had tonight. I really enjoy the fact that our audience has stayed with us as long as they really, really have. With all the different things we've talked about, I never thought we'd talk about the Washington Redskins, but it just made too much sense the way things
Right.
are going. Anything else anybody want to add as a closing thought? Since I have a few minutes, go ahead, Jeremy. Any closing thoughts, real quick, beyond what we do at the very end? Great pace of the show tonight, and I guarantee you next week we'll look to do better. Jeremy, some closing thoughts.
Don't look now, but the Guardians are losing tonight. The White Sox are losing tonight. And if the Tigers somehow win without Skubal and Mize in the rotation and the Mariners, they'll be 1.5 out of the wild card and gain a game and be only 4.5 out of first in the Central. That's how bad the American League is this year. It's not just one team, the entire league. So that's my final thought.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not looking at it's a joke either. Okay. First of all, what you have to understand with Casey Mize, and I'll mention this on baseball, you had 2 months left, and this guy was injury prone. He really was. This guy was injury prone. So you had an injury prone 2-month rental is all you had left. Okay. Skubal, you had to get something for him. I'm not saying it's the best price of prospect. You never know. But I mentioned this on baseball last night. And I'm going to say it again. Whether we have it or not, 2027, that's another story. But there's no crime in adding pitching depth during free agent, even if it's going to cost you 40 or 50 million to do it. There's nothing wrong with it. There's going to be enough good pitchers available. There will be. I mean, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to even say one other thing to this whole thing. Now that Terrence Skubal is gone, and I got Detroiters on this show, Mickey Lolin's numbers should be darn well retired at 29. It should never be handed out again. Exclamation point, and that's it. Terrence gone. I get it. I'm not going to be mentioning any more Terrence Skubal updates within the next week or two, because honestly, I'm sick and tired of them. But I'm going to say this much. Mickey Lolin's numbers should be retired. Mickey Loach was one of my idols. I had an opportunity to interview this guy. His wife, Joyce, happy birthday, Miss Joyce Lolich. She was a sweetheart. And I'm tired of Skubal. Let's just see what he can go ahead and do with the Dodgers. But I hope and pray that the Tigers are all that haul. And you know what? To me, you don't know who they're, let's just find out. But Mize, in my opinion, is like Eddie Prather says. He's not lost for Detroit. This guy's been on and off. Why is everybody making this to be a big deal? Hold on. There should be one. And now Skubal, we'll see. I mean, that outfielder that they have here could be an interesting player. Then what do you have? Go ahead, Jeremy.
All I was trying to say is we're winning without them.
Exactly. That's my point.
That's what I was trying to say, and you got upset about it. I was actually
I didn't get upset.
Detroit.
I didn't get upset. I'm getting animated. You got to know the difference between animated and upset. If you want to know animated, it's us. If you want to know upset, ask Dave Doran. That'll tell you what upset means. Get it? I'm having a blast with you guys, by the way. Great to have you back, Mel. That's what you've been missing. But you're great.
I'm
not upset, Jeremy.
Why are you so adamant that Mickey Lolich's number needs to be retired? Just
why?
He was your
I'll give
player?
you a reason. 1968 World Series, won 217 games, more complete games you can imagine, and one of the most underrated left-handed pitchers on the planet. Not Mickey Lolich, not Mickey Lodich, whoever this guy is that didn't even want to talk to me anyways.
No, it was Mike Lodich, but is he a Hall
Mike
of Famer?
Lodich, whatever.
Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he a Hall of Famer?
Well, Mickey, he should be.
I didn't ask if he should be. I just said, is he?
No, he's not a Hall of Famer. So what? Okay. But his numbers should be at least retired by the Tigers.
Yeah,
okay.
he's on.
Well, I'm a Dodger fan anyway, so I mean, I'm a Dodger fan, so.
Yeah, but his numbers should be retired by the Detroit Tigers.
Hey,
yeah, so they show a little fashion. It's mild. Great stuff, man. Yeah, there you go. Eddie Prather's my agent. Okay, Scott doesn't get mad. He gets excited. Yes, people, that's it. No, I wasn't mad at you, Jeremy. I never get mad at a brother like you, man. I just get excited. Of course, I don't know how many hours of sleep I'm going to get tonight because my wife here is going to wonder, oh, God, I'm in trouble again for the millionth time, but it don't matter. I'll deal with it. All right.
So what
Go ahead,
week are
Mel.
we talking about, Diego? What show is that? gonna be?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Don't
Okay.
worry.
Yeah.
On a week that I know you're going to show up, which I'm assuming is going to be every week going forward. Now you got all this other stuff done.
I do got one comment about Diego for you, and Mel's gonna love it. He's so bad that when he got fired, the Argonauts control whether or not he can play in the CFL. They don't want him either.
Well, I mean, it's
Really?
late in
I
the
did not
season
know.
now,
Really?
isn't it? It's late in the
They
season.
don't want
now.
him either.
I didn't. Well, then you know what? He's headed to the United Football League, and they'll go out there and make it work for him.
And look,
And
and
then we'll see.
he'll do great things in the United Football League. I truly, think he can do it. I mean, he's not much smaller than the kid up there in Minnesota. To be honest with you, I think he's only 5'10". Diego's 5'9", 8'7", whatever he is. I mean, what's the difference? I don't know.
Diego's so
Diego.
short. He makes
He didn't help himself.
Flutie look like a giant.
We talked about it. He didn't help himself with some of his antics, and then having Johnny Manziel as his mentor.
Exactly.
That never helps.
The
Johnny Manziel thing. I'm with you. When are we going to have him on? I don't know. But I know you'll be on a lot more shows coming forward, and let me tell you, I won't carry that topic over if I get it.
It brought
out.
a smile to my face when I saw that come across my phone.
Yeah,
I know it did.
Yeah, you don't know. You're the,
all of us.
yeah, when it
look,
happened, I knew it was gonna.
I don't mean to
you'd
do
be
this
happy.
at his expense either, because I wish him nothing but the best, But it's just
Yeah,
it
no,
did
you don't.
just knowing how much you love the kid.
Oh,
it just,
give me that.
Yeah.
You don't wish him the best.
give me a
That's why
little,
you like sticking it to
a
me.
little tingly feeling all over.
Yeah, I'll believe. Yeah, all right.
Now,
And I'm not buying that. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid, pal. No, but when I'm telling you, when he got cut by the Ravens, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'll never hear the end of it. The end of it when Mel gets back. So I might as well take it
And
like a man.
I wanted to come on so bad that week too, but
Yeah,
I
I'll
just
bet you
couldn't.
did. Yeah, but it wasn't this and wasn't that. But I knew that once we got him back on, Diego Pavia was going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
mentioned. And
Oh
yeah, that's okay.
yes,
I was
without
waiting
question,
for it.
that.
I was just waiting for you to read the topics. It was without saying you weren't going to be on. And when I knew you read it, but you were coming on, I was prepared for it mentally. Great stuff, Mel.
Yeah, I
It
was
really
a
is
little
great to
disappointed. I
have-
didn't see a Diego segment though, but I still
Yeah,
can.
well, that's all right. Well, I had to see it to believe it. That was you being back on here, so that was good.
Yeah.
But I still will reserve a segment for it at some point down the road. But now that we have a little extra time in the show here, we actually got your Diego Pavia segment to begin with. So it doesn't matter. He'll be the savior of the United Football League, depending on which small market he's in.
And I think
So you
he would do great things.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's a good picture here. With that, who was that? Candy? Who was that with?
Who do guess?
Look like
guess.
Bill O'Brien or somebody. I don't know.
Exactly.
Bill
Belichick.
O'Brien.
yeah.
Oh, Bill O'Brien.
Is that who it
O'Brien.
is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bill
it is.
O'Brien. Yeah, I like
Yep.
I have a good relationship with him. I have a good relationship with just about everybody but Dave Doree. But don't get me started on that. But all right, well, that does do it here. Glad we had a little bit of extra camaraderie because I was waiting for Mel to stick it in my backside with Diego Pavia. But since we had the extra time, they didn't take it away what we were doing. Yeah, it's all good, Mel. We love you. We're glad you're back. And I got news for you. If you thought today's content was great, wait till I get done incorporating everything that we have from, get this. Okay, we're way behind on the ACC kickoff material. We got the Miami Hurricane stuff. We got enough sound bites to last us for a long time. And I want to thank the ACC kickoff people and Cameron Gorby, by the way, Cameron Gorby of the Miami Hurricanes for helping us get a lot of these things done. God bless them both. I look forward to making the ACC kickoff a regular thing. And Cam Gorby, what can I say? I think the world of this guy. All right, Eddie, any closing thoughts?
The Redskins finally they put pads on the other day. Nobody got hurt. They looked pretty decent. So that's good. We'll take that. Nobody got hurt.
All right. Now, Mel, any closing thoughts that don't talk about Diego Pavia?
Well, I'm going to a football game this weekend up at Buford. They got that $62 million stadium there in Buford that they just built. So
Okay.
It's a team out of Tennessee where Peyton Manning's son is the quarterback. He's a freshman. I don't know if he's going to be playing, but I'm going to a scrimmage. My brother-in-law, his business partner, his son goes to the same school that Peyton Manning's son goes to up there in Tennessee. And so they're coming down to Buford to have a scrimmage. So I'm going to that game on Friday. So that should be pretty interesting. From what I heard, my sister went up to Chattanooga to watch him play last week, and Peyton was there.
Cool. right.
watching this son at this scrimmage. So I'm looking forward to going to see some high school football. High school football is back in effect. I'm going to take my grandson up there, get him a little excited about the upcoming season that he has up in Michigan. Show him how we do it.
Love to hear that. And don't
Serious
worry, we look
here in Georgia.
Is that Bill?
now that you brought up Bill Belichick, there's a picture
There's
with
Bill.
myself shaking Bill Belichick. Yeah, that's Bill. How about that?
On the screen.
Where's his handler?
He didn't need one. He had me instead. There you go. No, we look forward to having Mel Farr now the rest of the way here. I'll tell you, that just shows you the difference that we bring Mel Farr Jr. back on. He brings a certain element to the show that takes it to a great level. Mel, we really love you. We're glad you're back. Candy, some closing thoughts as we get ready for a station break to wrap this show up.
You know, I all I can say is Hall of Fame game is this weekend. So it's start of football season. Best time of the year. Loving it. Watch the channel because, like I said, there's going to be interviews. Scott talked to numerous University of Miami Hurricanes at Media Day. So he's got Malachi Toney, he's got Adrian Mensah, he's got Mark Fletcher Jr., he's got some defensive line interviews that are all going up. So make sure you're subscribed and turn on those notifications so you're notified when we put those up.
Okay, well, with that said, let's go ahead and wrap this show up. And Jeremy, why don't you let everybody know they get a hold of you?
Well, you can get a hold of me right here every Tuesday night on Inside the Pigskin and every Thursday night on the South Florida Tribune channel on Fire Up with my co-host Candy over there at what Scott affectionately calls the Country Club. Then you can also see my writings on the SouthFloridaTribune.com underneath the contributor writings under the Motor City Tribune heading, where I write about the Lions. Soon going to have an article about the Tigers. I have to edit that. Don't publish it, Candy.
Okay.
And, of course, you can find me on my channel, which is KCB Sports Network, where I talk all Detroit sports Monday through Friday at noon. I have my NFL Roundtable talks on Wednesday nights at 9:30. I have my Lions Fan Cave chat at 9 on Fridays. On Saturdays at 9 p.m., I have my Baseball Roundtable talks. And starting this week at 9 p.m. on Sunday, it's my Fourth and Fantasy Football podcast.
Well, you're a machine, a ball, Rick. I don't know how you do it. I can do a lot, but not quite like you are, man. I'm proud of you. I give you a lot of credit. You got more energy than politicians tell lies, so maybe not that much, but you have a lot of it. But I'm trying to keep up with you. I never will, but I'm just trying to keep this network going relevant, going at prime time and what we do also as well. Also special happy birthday to my good friend Gus Panelides out in Clearwater, Florida. Candy and I are looking forward to taking a trip to Dunedin next weekend. We have some travel business to take care of up there. Gus Panelides, I don't know if you're out there listening or not watching, but happy birthday to my good friend Gus Panelides. He's like a role model and a mentor to me, and God loves Gus and his brother Mike as well. Okay, go ahead, Eddie.
Well, you can reach me here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on Inside the Pigskin, the Motor City Madmouth Show, and the Sports Exchange. You can reach me at all the major social medias under Ed McAndrew. And I would like to add one other thing. For the month of August, I am running a fundraiser for the Association of Frontal Temporal Lobe Dementia. My dad suffered with that from 97 till 2005 until he passed in 2005 from complications of it. The association didn't become into effect until 2002. So it's been, my family, my mom, my sister, my brothers, we've all been kind of a part of this. And I've been doing this, running a Facebook fundraiser for since I've been on Facebook. So go out to my page. If you can donate, great. If you can share, great. If you can donate and share it, great. If you can't do anything, that's fine too. I just bring awareness that it's out there. It's the lesser known of Alzheimer's. It doesn't get the big funding yet. It's not. So, but a lot of people are suffering from it. Bruce Willis, actually, it is what he is suffering from at the moment. So go ahead, jump onto my Facebook page. And if you want to donate, but you don't have a Facebook account, because to donate via Facebook, you have to have an account. Which anyway, go out to aftd.org. You can donate right directly on their website. And if you want, just say it's for the Ed McAndrew August birthday donation or not. Just every little bit helps, whether it's $1 or $1,000. Just spread the word. Thank you.
So, Ed, you're going to have an opportunity to memorize that because over the next 2 days, you're going to talk about it on the Wednesday Motor City Mad Mouse show, and you're going to get a chance to do it on Sports Wrap. So, if you can find a way to get Candy a link to do it immediately, do it, and then she'll put it up there. But meanwhile, please donate as well. Mel, real quick, and then Candy with a fast station break, and then we're done. Great show tonight all the way around. Ed, you have homework to do, my friend, and you get no topics tomorrow, so you've got nothing to study. So go ahead and get us that link. Go ahead now.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere on social media at Melfar Jr. And then follow what we have going on for the youth here in Georgia and also up in Michigan at melfarsuperstarfoundation.org.
All right, Candy, wrap us up. Take us home. You know what to do.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons to the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It's written by Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morgenroth. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Audiobook is also out there. There's a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see the red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. Please do so. QR code up in the top left right now is South Florida Tribune. I am now switching it to Destination Discoveries Media Network, our travel channel, where we talk all things travel Monday nights on No Limits, and then we put up all kinds of other videos. We visited Key West, overseas. This last weekend it was Naples, so go check it out. Last but not least, Monday nights is baseball night, Tuesday nights is football night, Wednesday nights anything goes. Thursday nights is going to be hockey this weekend. We're starting it back up. It was soccer, but now we're switching over to hockey. And then come over to the country club, watch Jeremy and I on our show, which starts 9:30 p.m. Thursday nights. Back to you, Scott.
All right, well, that does it for this edition of Inside the Picture. Great show tonight. Glad to have Mel back. It really was. I really missed you a lot, Mel, and we're going to continue to build on what we're already doing. I'm looking at other people possibly to add to the network at some point or another, if not immediately. But meanwhile, this group was nothing short of outstanding. Jeremy, as always, Ed, as always, Mel, great to have you back. And we have a lot of our best days to come. Lots of sound bites as well from the ACC kickoff, as well as the Miami Hurricanes. And once again, a special thanks to Cameron Gorby as well and the ACC people and all those people. I know Candy will send Cam a text pretty soon letting them know that we mentioned his name, and thank the Miami Heat the Miami Hurricanes for their hospitality. Love having the Miami Hurricanes as our partner. They are absolutely great. We love them big time and hoping that the U does a lot of great things. So with that said, great job to my crew. More importantly, a standing ovation or sitting ovation to everybody in the chat room and those that are watching across the South Florida Tribune YouTube network, wherever you're watching. So with that said, thank you very much, everybody. And we have a doubleheader tomorrow here on the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. We have the Motor City Man Mouse Show at 7:30, followed by the Sports Exchange at 9 o'clock. Good night, everybody. Edward, you have some homework, my friend. Get me some links, and we have more work to do to try to help spread the word. Okay, my friend? That does it. Take care, everybody, and we will see you next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, on Inside the Pigskin without the Pavia. But before we go off, Jeremy, say what you got to say. You still have a few minutes to do it.
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here within us. Much love to everybody in the chat. Eddie Prather, I believe that was something Feather. I can't remember. Freebird, Feather Freebird.
Yeah, from Bose
MDE, Nick Burton, all of you. Thank you so much for watching tonight. And if you haven't done so, go subscribe to the South Florida Tribune channel as well.
Yeah,
and of course James Burgess, who stayed with us the entire night with Eddie.
Yeah, and Destination Discoveries Media Network. Don't sell that short. We have a lot to bring to that network, and that channel is growing. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will go out there. Yeah, that's Bo's mom, by the way. All right, well, Feather Freeboard, God love you. We appreciate you popping in. That even makes it even better that you're Bo's mom. Because you and Bo, to me, are just special people all the way around. That does it. We'll see you next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you. Bye-bye.